Well, the lights on Tampa Bay's iconic Sunshine Skyway Bridge have long been used to memorialize different special events and causes such as GLBTQ Pride, Juneteenth, and support for Israel and Ukraine, but not this summer. Because of a complaint from a Manatee County Commissioner, neither the June Pride celebration nor the annual Gun Violence Awareness Day, which is on the first Friday of June, will be recognized with special lights on the bridge. According to the Tampa Bay Times, the objection came from Manatee County Commission Chairman Mike Ron. Instead, the agency announced that for this year, the Skyway will have a special display of red, white, and blue lights on bridges that will run all summer, from Memorial Day to Labor Day. And it's not just the Skyway. All Florida bridges will be draped in patriotic colors for the summer, so no Pride Bridge lighting elsewhere in Florida. Because the Skyway touches Manatee, Hillsborough, and Pinellas counties, the FDOT's policy is that light displays have to be approved by all three county commissions. They want to be assured that any display has broad community support. So, Janelle, what do you think of this decision by the Department of Transportation?
Well, you know, I guess they're consistent, so at least there's that. But it just, I think what troubles a lot of people is this idea that one guy, they didn't even follow their own rules. One guy said, nope, I don't like this. You know, so we're going to turn the Skyway into, you know, a star-spangled awesome piece of infrastructure for the whole summer. And, you know, that's great. Let's be patriotic, sure. But to ignore all of these other causes because one guy asked for it, to throw out all of your procedures because one guy said so, and then to ignore when somebody calls you out on it, the LGBTQ liaison for the city of St. Petersburg had brought this up. Right. You know, that I think that people view this as just doing Governor Ron DeSantis's bidding, and they're celebrating his tax break for summer outdoor activities.
Well, the governor says this is a celebration of Freedom Summer, and he says that Florida is the freest state in the nation.
It's free for some people. It's not free for everybody.
Barry?
Well, I agree with my colleague here. I think that, first of all, if we're going to have a process, have a process. One person doesn't say that you don't have broad consensus. We have extreme kooks on both the right and the left, and they're not the mainstream consensus. Two, I do think that, as Janelle pointed out, consistency. If we're going to have things that are offensive, there's a lot of people that think aid to Israel is offensive, yet we lit them up with white and blue. I support Israel aid. I was fine with that. I would support the LGBT pride stuff too. But if just have a policy and be consistent, but don't allow one person to be the arbiter of what's a community consensus. I think that's ridiculous.
Stanley?
Again, and I'm not trying to be alarmist, this is just another example of how we are etching away democracy, okay? Instead of like it being all sides' interests being condoned or even listened to, we're just letting the extremes do. And I tell you, this is not a good path, and this is becoming normal.
Well, and on that too, Stanley, you know, it's one thing to be patriotic. I don't think anybody would argue that there's anything wrong with being patriotic and showing our nation's colors. But there's also a line where you start teetering towards nationalism, and that's when you start getting, you know, close to some dangerous territory there. So I think there's some concern there too.
I would also say it's a bad use of taxpayer money. Why do we put all these colored lights on the bridge? Why do we have them that can change? We did it because there was a promise basically when we spent this kind of money that for, you know, St. Patrick's Day we'd do it green, and for Breast Cancer Awareness Week we'd make it pink. And so, you know, if they didn't want to do this, then don't spend the money down the road on it. You know, just buy red and blue lights and leave it at that. So, you know, we're continuing to do this where you just see politicians wanting to poke the other side in the eye no matter what. This week, the vote on Hillsborough County Commission about the Israeli bonds, just to poke the other side in the eye.
The governor says we're the freest state in the nation, and that's why he wants to celebrate all summer with red, white, and blue on the bridges across the state.
You know,
that's just a scam.
That is very subjective, okay? And I'll tell you, I've lived as a black male, if y'all can't figure this out, all over this country. This state has more harms to individuals than any other state that I've lived in. This state is by far very concerning, our trends and where we're going.
Bear? Freest state in the nation.
Well, I think in some ways it is, but in other ways it isn't. And I think that's why we have to have consistent policies, because if it's free if I get to decide, but it's not free if I don't get to decide. In St. Petersburg, there was controversy when Rick Kreisman would fly different flags and they wouldn't fly other flags. Just have it consistent. And here's where I think that we have a problem. It's actually free. We just passed a bill that allows chaplains into schools, or private chaplains into schools. Well, now there's literally a satanic group that wants to bring the satanic chaplains in. Well, if you're going to allow my Methodist chaplain in, you got to allow in America the satanic chaplain in. So that's a little too free for me.
That's their shtick, though. They did that back in the day with a coloring book. The Satanic Temple a church brought a coloring book, so the Satanic Temple said, well, we're going to do it too. So they got rid of both.